Okay, so why don't we get started?
Taking attendance.
All right, so at 6:15, let's start with attendance. Elaine Breslow,
Present.
Brooke Jewell,
Present.
Alex Viteri,
Present.
Carolyn Coffey,
Here.
Sarah Pease,
Here.
Mary Lou Lawrence,
Here.
Steve Brown,
Here.
and Catherine Harvey is here, and Megan Brinzy listening by phone. All right, did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes. Yes.
Any additions or
to approve.
corrections?
Nope. Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. So let's go to Bronwyn for the accounting report, please.
Bronwyn is not here. I'm
Okay.
here, so I will pull up the accounting report. So we don't have too many different things in the warrant today, this month. Things that might look different. Find a Way, which is a product that we use for listening to children's books, is something that might not be something that you normally see. We did front some money out of our gift account for the deposit for the mini golf program. So that was $2,000. It was $1,000 per event. So we have two. Other than that, there was a reimbursement for me for some copies that needed to be made through Canva of our library card registration sheets.
Would you mind just clearing that message?
Oh, thank you. SendSource is our people counters. That's a large expense. That's a yearly expense that we get. And the capital services, that is for a laptop that was returned. So we are going to have a credit there of $364.91. So it was purchased and then returned. So we will have a credit there. Other than that, supplies, books.
I had a question. What's
Yeah.
Seacoast events?
That's the
golf.
Did you just
That's
talk
the
about
mini
that?
golf.
Oh,
That's
okay,
okay.
sorry.
That's right. You were helping me X out on computer.
And I actually had a question.
Yeah.
Our supplies line is 98% depleted.
Yes.
How do we have no more supplies?
We have some more
needed for the rest of the year, or how are
No.
we going to fund that?
So we still have some supplies, not a lot, like a bulk of usually what we use for supplies we buy as soon as our budget gets renewed. But we have a ton of money in technology and other places. And so we're not really worried about keeping up with whatever we need. Part of the problem is things have become more expensive as well. So like a ream of paper used to be $50, now we're paying $200, and that's
Oh my
price
God.
shopping. Like I shouldn't say a ream, like a box of reams.
A box.
Yes. So
It used to be 50.
It used to
and
be
it's now 200.
yes, yeah, and that's through WB Mason.
That's because the trees are coming from China.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
So that's one of the biggest ones, and
Holy
we just
mackerel.
talked about that in our staff meeting.
No, we're looking at her laptop.
Oh, right here, sorry. We just talked about that in our staff meeting on what we can do to basically eliminate our paper use altogether. We've been doing coloring pages in the children's room, and so we're thinking about pricing out, maybe outsourcing, though it might actually be cheaper for us to have it printed through somewhere else. So we'll see. But we are running low on supplies. We're aware of it. But we have other lines that we're not using really at all. So we should be fine. It's all about the bottom line at the end of the year. Okay.
Great. Any questions? Other questions for Megan on the bills?
Motion to approve the bills? Second. No, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, on the motion to approve the bills, Brooke Jewell,
Yes.
Alex Viteri,
Yes.
Carolyn Coffey,
Yes.
Sarah Pease,
Yes.
Mary Lou Lawrence,
Yes.
Steve Brown,
Yes.
Elaine Breslow,
Yes.
and Catherine Harvey, yes. So motion carries. Okay, so for me, mostly I just want to update everybody on the pavilion project. So we had a meeting with the development committee yesterday. I want to get the number in front of me. I think we're at 85. Is that right, Carolyn and Megan?
85, well, as
85.
of today, 91 in the door,
Oh,
and
great.
120 committed.
Wow,
Wow.
congratulations.
But I sort of skipped the headline, which maybe you all already have discussed while waiting for the meeting to start, which is the new renderings, which are a dramatic improvement over the last set, and I think will help us communicate a little more, maybe a lot more effectively, what our vision is for this space and for this project. So what we're thinking about now is basically that piece of it, how to bring this vision to life for potential donors. Alex has helped us out a lot by giving us some feedback on what we had initially rolled out, and being a marketing professional had some incredibly useful advice for us, which we are hoping to develop a little more fully, and hoping to also bring in some of the work that all of you did on the strategic plan and this notion of the excitement around Sawyer and Ripley, because that obviously fits perfectly in with our idea of developing the space that is literally at Sawyer and Ripley. So so that's sort of the next thing that we are going to be focusing on and thinking about what other events we want to bring out to the community as we open up this campaign a little more broadly. One of the things that we discussed in our meeting yesterday is some of the points of feedback that people on the development committee are hearing from sort of the wider community as the renderings have gone out and as this is becoming more broadly discussed around town. And so I thought, we could just sort of talk about that briefly. I think that I think our assessment is that the main barrier that we were having is that I think that those of us who are sort of intimately acquainted with the library and who are involved in the library, we know what this is going to be, and what its potential is, what the end result of this project will be, and what an incredible asset this will be, and how we want to use it, and how we hope that everybody else will use it. But that seems to be not coming through to everyone, and maybe people who are not maybe not using a lot of programming at the library, and so maybe not really getting that piece of it, or not really understanding that this is going to be like a great meetup gathering space. So we're sort of trying to tackle how we break through that barrier. And I think that Alex's advice on the marketing side is going to be incredibly useful, as I said. The only question that has come up is, do we need to make any modifications to the design in order to make this seem more appealing to the community at large? And so, I mean, we have already invested a lot of time and energy and thought and planning into the design, and we, thankfully have Chris McFarland's expertise and the design that he did for us pro bono, which was incredibly generous, and that I think that we were all happy with. So the question has come up and I wanted to pass it along. I mean, if we feel like, we're there on the design and making changes or alterations is not something we're interested in, then that's one thing. And if we're open to, maybe getting the design committee back together and talking about it a little bit more, then that's another way to go. So I wanted to just put out there that feedback is out there. It's hard to gauge how much feedback along those lines is coming in. I mean, some, but I don't, in terms of how many people have said this, or really how many people are even, aware of the project enough to make that comment is unclear. So I wanted to put that out there also. Elaine.
So I have a question. Do we have any specificity as to what either the disconnect or the lack of communication or the concern is about the space itself?
Well, I have sort of a little hit list. I can read you just a couple of things. I mean, I think that it seems like some people sort of focused on the fact that there was a lot of hardscape involved. And again, one of the things that I wonder about that is because the rendering didn't really show stuff like furniture or a lot of people using the space, I can see how that could have possibly influenced people's impressions. So I want to say that too. But that it seemed a little cold, or it was a lot of concrete, or seemed like it would be uncomfortable seating. Again, that we didn't have any furniture pictured in the renderings. People sort of wondered whether it should be the walls, rather than being sort of amphitheater wall seating, should be broken up into more bench style, which I'm not sure is practicable, but something to think about.
Can I interrupt for 2 seconds, Catherine?
Yes,
I
please do.
think-
Please.
I think too that particular comment in the original rendering, they looked like walls instead of looking like steps. The ground is actually going to come to the top of the wall, and then it's going to be an 18-inch drop or a 20-inch drop. It's going to be like chair height. So I don't think the walls, if you look at them in the new renderings, they're not nearly as imposing as they appeared in the first. So I can understand where that comment came from, but I don't think it's perhaps as much of an issue as maybe a couple people have thought.
Yeah.
In actuality.
Fair. Yeah. Of course we laughed because there was feedback about the hedges looking sort of like a blockade, which we were like, well, the original concern was, well, kids are going to go running out into the street. So, I mean, it's all very subjective. But I, again, just in the interest of making sure we hear everybody's point of view, I thought I would bring it back and see what people thought.
Are those comments coming primarily from potential donors?
That was my impression. That yes, that it was maybe, at what level or what demographic, not entirely clear.
Do we have any testimonials from other users of why they would find it so helpful?
Meaning like good feedback?
No. I'm representing the Elder Affairs group, and this would be a fabulous way to transition folks from our property to the library and have social interaction and some intellectual stimulation.
One thing we are doing is we have a couple people from the development committee meeting with the board of directors at the South Shore Community Center, with both the community center and with the nursery school, to try and incorporate, get feedback from them and make sure,
But I'm thinking in terms of communicating this, if we had some brief 1-paragraph testimonials from various influence groups.
What about the drama?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry, I didn't
that
say it
maybe
very
that's,
clearly.
something that we should solicit to include in the campaign materials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So
I like it.
doesn't
That's a
just-
great idea. Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
And I would think about the drama club also, maybe, we're certainly not going to do Shakespeare on the Common, but
Shakespeare at the library.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we couldn't do a whole Shakespearean
I
play.
could play the fool from King Lear because I have a lot of experience.
I could do Yargo.
We could reach out to them.
Yeah.
And just,
Yeah,
What would-
they
what would you
may
say at this
have
point?
some ideas for
How they might use the space.
how they might be able to use that space in the summer for like skits and
Workshops.
workshops, or there used to be someone here in town, you might remember.
The girls that did the summer theater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that well.
yeah, and they, over by Shoots in the barn.
Can you guys hear?
Yeah,
But that kind of thing,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
summer theater, I mean, now kids are just doing internet searches and that kind of.
well, no, I
don't
mean,
know if
that,
kids do summer theater
no,
anymore.
that's
They do.
still a really robust program in town, the Cohasset Dramatic Club with Lisa Pratt. So, I mean, I could reach out to her
It is
easily.
at the town hall because they're big
Yeah.
production, but I'm talking about small productions.
Like a small scale, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe getting, high school kids involved or even younger kids involved too. Yeah, Lisa Pratt would be the one, I guess.
I can reach
Yeah.
out to her. My daughter was in the play last summer, and so I worked with her a little bit. And but what would we say? Like, would you write a paragraph on how this could be useful to you? And then what are we going to do with that? And where is it going to go? And how are we going
Also,
to publicize
wait,
it?
excuse me just a second. And what about music? Musicians, concerts? Is that space, I mean, how many does that seat, the amphitheater?
I mean, how many on the stage for
No,
an
the seats
orchestra
that
or
go
the seats
around.
themselves? I don't remember.
It was around
Well, we can get 100
I
under
think
the
it was, I
pergola.
want to say 65 in the on the walls. And then you have the wall around the patio where people can also sit facing out because it's not steep drop off. And that's another 30 to 40. I think you can have, it was originally, it was 120 people on the patio itself, including wall seating. So,
But actually on the quote unquote stage, if we want to call it that, that's not a large space, but certainly, I would imagine, 10, 12 people could perform something on there, certainly musicians could. As far as the idea of a workshop, I mean, that for dramatic purposes would absolutely work, or just as offering as a space to be able to come and rehearse something without having to go, to use the high school auditorium or the amphitheater at at Osgood, or, the steps or whatever it is. It certainly, people could book it and just have, even a club, because even at the high school level and the middle school level, there is the Massachusetts Drama Guild does wonderful things. And some of that isn't the big high school musical or the dramatic play every other year, or however often it is these days. But there was never enough space for smaller groups of students who were performing dramatic pieces and things, or a place to practice.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea.
What's interesting to me is that, so just going back to like the what Catherine started off was talking about was establishing the vision. I think all these discussions about the drama club or all these organizations were going out to reach who would endorse this and who could utilize this. I think that's really good at establishing the vision. I guess the question goes back to where Catherine started, which was there's some thoughts about the way this is looking, and I don't think we should necessarily reopen the conversation because it's clearly we've gone this far. Why do that? But if there's a comment that talks about, this isn't comfortable, or this isn't, or it doesn't look comfortable, or if it doesn't look useful, then it goes back to the vision. Like how do we make it comfortable? Make sure that there is, here you're not looking at furniture, you're not looking at tables, you want to be able to use the Wi-Fi throughout the day, you want to meet somebody for a cup of coffee, maybe you want to lay in the sun. Like, if we can address those, like that vision, then do we really have a complaint on how to use the space? Like, I think that's, I think it's a good thing. Like, let's not reopen that conversation. Let's move forward.
That was our conclusion as well. And I will say all of these comments
Mhm.
or the vast majority of the comments came from one person who's been soliciting. You know, I've talked to dozens of people and nobody has complained about anything. So, you know, other than, you know, can we add some lighting, you know, or something like that, you know, little things, but I haven't heard any negative responses.
Let me throw out a crazy idea. Not that it necessarily would work, but maybe it'll stimulate something else. When I'm with our grandkids, they've got those huge bags filled with little styrofoam beads.
Yeah,
They love those things.
I do too.
And I could envision a portion of the seating. You could have essentially a rubberized top that would be weatherproof. And then underneath it would be sand or something that could be moved around. And you could see kids really getting into that. Get out of my way, I've just made that perfect for me, and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, a big sand pit that people could.
But it would be relatively maintenance free. Because it's just sand and a rubberized surface.
You can shape it the way you want it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, how about this idea? I mean, you know, now that we have these more specific and beautiful renderings, why don't we make sure that they get floated and we put kind of a focus on, you know, here they are, we've distilled ideas, and we're very excited about this, and just see what the response is. I mean, we're never gonna please everybody.
Right, absolutely.
There are always gonna be some constructive suggestions, which obviously we're all willing and listening and open-minded about. But you know, maybe it just needs like this reintroduction of this fresh look at it, and that may pacify anybody who had some maybe valid concerns about too much hardscape, because now this shows that it isn't, you know, what do people expect? It's not going to be, you know, a resort poolside lounge area. It's going to be an area where you can, you know, have a cup of coffee, listen to a performance, gather with some friends, have a book group or other conversation, have kids come after school and hang out and, you know, maybe work on a group project. So again, maybe just again, the focus is, here's our, you know, here are the new and fresh, you know, renderings. And I would imagine if anyone's committed to donating, they wouldn't do so even based on the old renderings if they felt so negative about it.
Yeah.
Is it possible to blow up those renderings and do a big board for the front?
Yes,
That's a
I've
good
ordered
idea.
them. I'm just
Oh,
waiting for them to
nice.
come in. So we got the new designs on Monday.
And but break them up, you know, so we can see all the different parts
Mm-hmm.
and have them big.
Do we have a Venmo code near it that you can donate, or a code to donate? Doesn't have to be
So
Venmo.
it can be a code to donate if it's in the library, but it's
Uh-huh.
more information, and it's a code, it goes to the website that also has a donate button.
Okay.
So,
like that.
so it's a few more clicks, but just so that we do things
It
the right
gets
way,
people
and we
to
have
the
to
right
do that.
spot.
But yes, it has that, so we'll get those in the next couple of days, and then, so there's
Great.
5 different, they're just about, I
think
think
they're
they're
great, by the way.
2 by 3 size,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit bigger, they're big.
2 by 3.
So
I
can
like
we,
it.
so the other thing, so this, our wonderful up and coming golf, mini golf evenings, you know, would it be wrong? I know that we're, you know, there's certain donation or entrance fee that we're asking for. So if we had some of these new, you know, blown up renderings, and if we could have something that said, you know, the new pavilion for FORE, everyone, and just have it,
Clever.
you know, just there, and people can get excited. And those are the kind of people, you know, again, we don't need, it would be nice to have mega donations, but also those, you know, we were, I think at one point talking about, well, how do we get, you know, everybody to feel like they can make even, you know, whatever they can afford to make as a donation. How do we
Mhm.
capture that audience or that demographic? And maybe that's one event where it might, you know.
Yeah.
To,
And those are the
Maybe we should-
conversations that we've started having in the
Yeah.
development committee meetings too, is what kind of events we can do for the broader audience.
But I think the
I
golf
wa-
thing is a great idea. I mean,
Yeah,
it's happening
and maybe-
already.
And maybe we should try and get people to, come and take a tour of our future pavilion while they're in between golf. Or maybe we put the food truck in the back parking lot so people have to pass through it. And then we have a couple of people there with the renderings to show them what we're going to do with the space. Food for thought. All right. Well, it sounds like we're all pretty much in agreement that the new renderings are going to address some of those concerns, and we're not going to get too bogged down in some of these points. Which is great. And then, so what was I going to say next? Sorry, I just lost my place. So we're agreed on that, and new renderings. Where was I going next? I don't know. Oh, what I was going to say is, I know. What I was going to say is, thank you. I think these are the idea of reaching out to, for music and drama. I think the other thing that those ideas give us is give us other sort of constituencies to go out to that help us promote the campaign too. If we go to Lisa Pratt and then get her buy-in and she gets excited about it, that opens up a whole new group of people to pitch this idea about and get people to, be enthusiastic about it and create more donors and more ambassadors for the project. So I think those are great ideas, which we will bring back to the development committee. All right, Carolyn, is anything else that we want to say about the pavilion
No, I think we
project?
covered it beautifully.
All right. That's really all I have for my report. And the CLT is going to meet next week. So that's really sort of the CLT report as well. Any questions?
The one thing I would say we're going to discuss at the CLT on Monday night is we're talking about, because it's a municipal project, we have to have all the money in the bank before we can do a request for qualifications to get bids to, to
All
do
the
this.
money has to be in.
All the money has to be in. So, we have some pledges. We have people asking about multi-year pledges and stuff like that, which is all great. But we have to have, we have to have the backing. So one thing we're going to be discussing on Monday night is whether the board would be comfortable using some of the endowment funds to front end,
To loan to the.
to loan, assuming that the pledges will be made good and additional fundraising will come in so that we can start the discussions with possible builders in a seasonal manner so that we're not done with our construction in December and can't do like a grand opening, type of thing. Because we feel pretty strongly that we need to be done by the end of September so we can have an October event, if not sooner, but because it would be so anticlimactic to finish in the fall and then close it up for the season. So it would be better to wait till 2024 if we have to, than to finish in December, we think. So we'll be talking about that at our meeting on Monday night.
Great. Okay, so moving to the Friends. The Friends. Oh, yeah.
I'll get those at the end. We also have to do the director's report.
Oh, did I skip you?
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry.
I appreciated your
was like,
enthusiasm, so I just.
I rarely get the agenda right, and yeah, sorry about that. I was so focused on the pavilion. All right, go Megan. I knew we were missing something.
Yeah. Just quick. I just wanted to vote on the updated safe child policy. I made the edits that were suggested at the last meeting. So if we could put that to a vote, that would be great. All in favor?
Yeah.
Discussion, any comments?
Why don't you just read it
Why don't you
once
read it?
again?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, the Paul Pratt Memorial Library proudly emphasizes the importance of providing a safe and welcoming environment for children of all ages. Understanding that the Paul Pratt Memorial Library is a public building and the staff is not responsible for the supervision of children at the library, the following policy resides. Children in first grade and below need to remain in direct eyesight of a caregiver that has accompanied them to the library. A caregiver can be anyone in grade 6 or above. Children in second grade may explore the library as long as their caregiver is in the building. And children in third grade and older are welcome to visit us without a caregiver. However, children must know how to reach responsible adults should this need arise. Example, sudden building closure due to inclement weather or a power outage. Should a violation of our child safe policy occur, the library staff will make every effort to find the child's caregiver in the building or make necessary phone calls. In the event that the child's caregiver cannot be located, library staff will notify Cohasset Police, who will assume the responsibility of the child. Children must be picked up prior to closing. The library staff is not responsible for supervising children left alone when the library is closed, but will make reasonable attempts to reach a parent or caregiver for immediate pickup. If staff members cannot reach a parent or a caregiver within 1/2 hour of closing, they will notify Cohasset Police, who will assume the responsibility of the child.
Has this been checked with the police?
Well, they have, no, but they do have, like, this is.
I just don't,
they
I
would
don't know
have to.
whether,
It's not, it would be their jobs.
And that's been
Because it's
our
an
policy since 2004.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's a
okay, good,
standard library line for
Yeah.
Okay, I
this type
just-
of policy. Yeah,
good.
sorry, I fumbled over that answer.
It's clear.
Has it ever happened that the police have been called for somebody? Just out of curiosity.
No,
Good.
no, not here. No,
Good.
Not
Makes
that
us feel
I've,
better.
yeah,
Not since you've been here.
not since I've been
thought you were gonna
here.
put 'em up
I
for
think maybe
adoption.
Sharon did actually have to many, many years ago.
Wow, yeah.
Well, good, that makes us feel better.
I move that we accept the policy as written.
I second it.
All right, let's do a quick roll call. On the motion to approve the new safe child policy, Brooke Jewel,
Yes.
Alex Viteri,
Yes.
Carolyn Coffey,
Yes.
Sarah Pease,
Yes.
Mary Lou Lawrence,
Yes.
Steve Brown,
Yes,
Elaine Breslow,
Yes.
and Catherine Harvey, yes. So that is approved.
Great, thank you. Just a quick touch base about the mini golf event. It is going to be on Friday the 3rd. The mini golf starts at 5:30, but the food truck will be here at 4:30. So everybody can start eating before. It's gonna be an 18-hole mini golf course all through the library. The food truck is called Mom on the Go, and she does like really fancy grilled cheeses and tater tots and things like that. We do have to hit a minimum there, so if you're not coming to the golf but need some dinner that night, please come by and order from Mom on the Go. There'll be tables and chairs in the meeting room so people can order from the food truck and come in and eat, assuming that it's going to be cooler out because it'll be March. The suggested donation will be $10 for children, $20 for adults to come and play. And we are advertising through regular outlets, and I was so bold as to go on to Macaroni Kids South Shore and advertise on there as well, which is gonna probably bring in a really huge crowd, which is great.
I haven't seen any ads. Now, not on social media, but I haven't seen any.
So we just solidified the food
Just
truck
started.
like the end of last week, so the
Okay.
marketing's really just started.
Okay.
Do you have to reserve a spot or you just having people show up?
Just having them show up, so it's
Okay.
showing up between 5:30 and 8.
And the marketing is like
4:30.
saying like it's like a rolling time, like come any time between those?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You don't want everyone there at like 4:30, so
No, that would be
not
good.
good.
Yeah.
Well, and so that begs the question, do you, are there ways to entertain people while they're waiting? Do we have a finite number of people who can be playing at one time? Or is there gonna be a way to manage that and people are gonna have to wait in line? Like how is that
I
gonna
mean,
work?
people are gonna have to wait in line. There's only so much. It's like when you go to any regular mini golf course, it's kind of like sometimes
You
it
just
depends
go
on when you
through.
get there and it's kind of a hit or miss on who's in front of you. And, you
Mhm.
know, maybe there's that 2-year-old that's like not, you know,
Needs to
and
hit
people need to move
27
things
times,
around.
yeah.
What I'm hoping to do is I have asked for volunteers, as you all know, and thank you for those who've gotten back to me, to station folks around at different holes. Just like, you know, if people need to move on or, you know, there's, you know, some chaos beginning, that we have somebody just there to oversee. So I'm hoping having a staff member volunteer there will help kind of move people along too.
You know,
Do
the
you have-
shotgun start.
Maybe we could have, you know, the library, the high school kids, you know, who volunteer at the library and do, you know, that advisory
Hmm.
board. Maybe we could get some, you know, like fun kids to be around to help with things like that. Instead of old people.
I don't know, Elaine, you're fun.
So
Yes,
it
good
says
idea.
like 5:30 to 8, so what if somebody arrives here just at 8 o'clock?
So we have them until 8:30, and
Okay.
so I
Good
purposely put 8, so that they could wrap up around 8:30, 8:45.
And are you in your marketing, saying that it's raising money for something like, you know, for the $10 and $20, are we explaining why it's so expensive?
Yeah, we just
Okay.
say that in support of the pavilion project
Okay.
at the library. And I have noted too that it's the CLT that's hosting the event, just because, as we know, the library can't take money, so
Yeah.
I just,
That's great, thank you.
next quick thing, just a little follow-up on the Windows event. So Saturday morning, so facilities, team already knew that they were just gonna be walking around to the different town buildings just through Saturday because something was gonna happen. And, and a few different things happened. One of this, I don't know which school, but one of the schools had a pipe explode. And the police department lost heat. And we had shattered windows. So our windows kind of fell to the bottom of the priority list, which is totally fine. Heat in the police department is very important for them. They came in Saturday, saw that we had some windows that had burst, Rec had some windows that were burst, and it was still continuously cold through Saturday. So we made the choice to not let the public in because we didn't really know why the windows were bursting. And we knew it was because it was cold. And we just didn't want to risk having people here while windows are popping. And so Sunday was the cleanup day for us. They cleaned up in here. The periodicals room is still closed because there are 4 windows in there, and the way that they explode, they exploded, the glass really shot out. So they've come back, they're coming back a few times during the week and doing a thorough vacuum and searching through the furniture just to make sure. So they're just kind of doing a few rounds of that before we open the periodical room. It will be back open next week, absolutely, if not the end of this week, but we just wanted to be extra cautious. We also felt that in here, we're not going to have children rolling on the floor because it's a conference room. And in the periodical room, there still could be somebody crawling around. And so we just wanted to be hyper sure that we were going to be all set there. The spring newsletter is all done. It's at the printers. And so that's going to go into the mail. It has the new renderings. It has our new marketing language that we talked about. So hopefully this is kind of the new unveiling of the pavilion look and feel, and see where we get from there. Library legislative day is on the 15th. I will be at the State House, and I have an appointment with Patrick O'Connor to discuss with him the importance of funding libraries. We have Dove out of Quincy, which is Domestic Violence Ended group. They're a nonprofit, and they're one of their somebody in their leadership is going to come give a talk next week on Thursday about abusive relationships, how to identify them, what's a healthy relationship look like, what's a not healthy relationship look like. We're off.
What organization is that, sorry?
Dove, D-O-V-E. We are doing it hybrid in the hopes that somebody who might not be interested in being in the audience can join via Zoom and just keep their camera off and not identify themselves. So you can join anonymously
That's great.
if you want to. So we're hoping, we only have one person registered, so we'll see. We have a March Madness Best Pizza and Cohasset program. So we are talking to the local pizzerias, asking for some donations, and the teens can come on their half day and they can sample, and they're going to decide who has the best pizza slice in town.
I think this is a huge idea. Like, I think this idea is kind of one of those like really big community ideas that we could use to drive awareness through our social channels and drive awareness through our peers or the commerce social channels. So if we can get like the idea of creating excitement or buzz around the fact that, you know, Victoria's versus Peel versus the Greek guys at Olympus Grill, I think that's like a ridiculously funny idea that we could like get some community engagement with. So from a social media standpoint, I think, I mean, I love this idea.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be super fun, and we just have to we'll have a meeting. I'll have a meeting with Allison and kind of discuss.
Be it, that's, I
Yeah,
mean, that's what I
right.
think,
Like
I think
this,
it's.
If we get right down to it, there's probably 15 or 20 places.
Yeah.
you can go.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot.
There was actually an article in the Cohasset Mariner 10+ years ago about how pathetic it was in Cohasset. There were 5 different pizza places and like 2 other restaurants at the time.
And I think, I mean,
Really good pizza. Remember that? That was fabulous.
But I mean, can you imagine like the idea of like the guys from Peel or the guys from 3A going, best pizza in town? Like, are you kidding me? Do you know how many times we deliver pizza at Sandy Beach every day during the summer? Like that idea of like being able to get these guys to talk about how awesome they are and how they really are invested in this thing. I mean, I'm interested to see who, you know, who the kids would choose, but I think everybody would be like, would just love to participate in it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
I agree.
I think
idea
we
was
should
a great
shoot
idea.
each one of these.
I
Good,
stole it from
kind of.
Situate. So Situate, the library doesn't do it in Situate, but Situate does a town-wide, as a huge community event. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's a fundraiser for something. But it's a huge, I just used to live in Situate, so I knew about it. And it's a huge deal. The whole community shows up, like everybody who, the restaurant owners stand behind their
Like a
tables.
chili cook-off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a big deal. So I had floated it to Allison a few months ago, and I had no idea that she was like, I mean, it's a great problem to have. She implemented it pretty right away. So, yeah.
Shoot, we could use that as a fundraiser.
I
for the
know.
building.
Yeah,
that's actually-
It's so good. It's such a good idea.
Well, we could do it. I mean, for March, we could do it on a smaller scale with the teenagers, and we could always do it again and be like, all right, the teens pick this. What do you think, community? And like challenge the community
Yeah.
against the teens
like
then too. I
Or
don't
you
know.
do it
Then
like-
it gives the pizza restaurants a chance to up their game and try
Right,
and seat
yeah.
the winner.
Right.
Well, you do it
So-
by age groups too.
Yeah, age groups, or you could do pizza versus like calzone with the different,
Yeah,
you could do
yeah.
different things.
So anyways, I think that's gonna be a fun one, and we can certainly play out kind of the competition and see
Can
if
we
we can get.
volunteer for that one?
We
I think we'll have to vote approval.
yeah, yeah,
It's out in the next meeting.
yeah, make sure
Good
nobody's
idea.
poisoned, it's a
Right.
safety thing,
Right,
yeah.
it's a safety.
We have teen paint night coming up, we have a great crafter dark with plantable paper. Gail has
Oh,
a
what, sorry?
plantable paper. So you essentially put a seed in paper and you
Uh-huh.
can plant it, but it's a certain type of, you know,
Oh, cool.
recycled paper or something like that. Yeah, it's neat.
Cool.
We're also hosting a seed swap. We're not really sure how this is gonna go, but we thought we'd try it out. So we've reached out to the 2 garden clubs in town to see if they'd like to participate. So, so we'll see. It's something that other libraries have been doing, so we just thought we'd try it out. We're also doing innovative gaming for teens. So this is a Minecraft and economics program. So essentially, I don't have a great idea of how Minecraft works, so I might butcher this, but the idea is you get a budget and you have to work within your budget while you play this Minecraft game. So you're learning how to budget and how, you know, economics. while you play the game. So we're hoping to put a little educational spin on this that makes it a little bit maybe more appealing, but certainly very fun stuff.
What age group are you targeting for that?
Probably middle school, like
Mhm.
early, like tweens. I
Okay.
think is what we're
Yeah.
thinking. A lot of our teen programs we're starting to gear towards tweens because
Mhm.
that's who we're getting, which is great. So, but we are making a little bit of a pivot there regarding who we're targeting in our teen area. And then lastly, we have Frank Lloyd Wright and the Zimmerman House talk. In other projects, we have, we're still working on the website design. They actually ghosted us for a few months and I finally got them back by reaching out to their sales department, pretending that I was wanting to buy something. And then I was like, yep. And I haven't heard from anybody since November. So we're back on track there.
I'm sorry, which?
The website
Okay.
company. Working on a 10-year capital plan. So I'm just working with Nick, who's facilities director right now, walking through the building, seeing kind of what our needs are going to be in the near future and the far future, just so that we can start asking and putting the bug in the ear of capital now. Fundraising, we're launching a CRM platform, which is a customer relations management platform throughout town. And we have been, community services has been selected to start the trial of how this is gonna go, and DPW as well. So our departments will be starting to utilize the CRM platform. It's gonna be an app, and you will be able to, as community members, get to common questions that you might have in different departments, report potholes, report trees down, things like that. And it'll go straight to this program where the response time will be tracked, and we'll be able to kind of see how quickly that we're doing things. So, and also, you know, how much staff time it took to, you know, fulfill whatever it is, and how much material it took, so we can track material, staff time, and how quickly we get projects done. So this will be a really great tool for everybody. And that's it for me.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Okay, so then now all we have left is the Friends. All right, so the Friends met last week. The appeal is still ongoing and in better shape. They're at just over 30,000, which is great. Still mostly, you know, donors by check from the appeal letter, but also, so I think it was 215 mail-in, but 71 donors, and actually almost a third of the revenue is coming from the gift butter. So so that's been a great addition, continues to yield good results. So the Friends are still at about a $5,000 shortfall for the year. And as we've discussed before, just, you know, they have it, you know, they have the funds to cover the programming and what they've pledged for this year. But over the long term, with the costs going up and with the increase in the budget, it's not really sustainable. So there's, you know, still continuing to look to other ways to increase their revenue through the appeal and maybe through, you know, some other means. To that end, we are gathering tomorrow. Barbara pulled together basically an analysis of the roles of past donors and people who had consistently given, who did not give this year, and we're going to be sending out another letter with, you know, a handwritten note, just asking for reconsideration, and, you know, in case there are people who maybe have given habitually and just forgot this year or for whatever reason. So, and I also wanted to mention, I mean, I know we're obviously looking for 100% participation for the pavilion project, but a gesture to the Friends would also be appreciated if that happens to be on your list and something that you haven't gotten to this year. They would very much appreciate that. Book sale still going well. They're still pulling in on a quarterly basis from the book, bins, the donation bins, almost as much as they're getting annually from the book sale in the community room. But it's also, again, Barbara has been really faithful about going into the bin and pulling out good titles for the book sale in the community room as well. So we've had a dual benefit from that. And that's about it for the Friends. Any other new business? Anything anybody would like to discuss or any questions?
I'd like to just ask Megan, are there any things that you would like to see happen that would make your job easier to do, more fun to do, allow you to have more impact?
Wow.
Because you've been here for a while,
Well, thank you.
and you don't have to answer it now.
Just had your 4-year anniversary.
You don't have to answer it.
Yeah.
Wow, 4 years.
4-year anniversary.
I'm finding that I'm now really focusing on not just the big picture of the library, but like the town's big picture. And I'm enjoying it a lot. But what I'm finding is sometimes it's hard. I have 14 direct reports. And so I find it a little bit difficult sometimes to keep up with the needs of the staff and the support that they need from me, and also being able to do some of the bigger things. So someday, not anytime in the next couple of years, but maybe in the next 5 years, I'd love to have an assistant director who can support the day-to-day things that are going on here, so that I can continue to support the library, but the library in the big picture of the town. Because that is, there's no other supervisors here except for me who are not in the union. So there's nobody
right.
else who's in charge. So if something happens at 7:30 at night, I'm still the person that's in charge. Something happens on a Sunday, I'm still in
Still,
charge.
yeah.
So, and I'm happy to do it for a while, but I think it is going to reach a point where I'd love some support.
And so how do other libraries deal with that?
They have an assistant director, or they have evening supervisors,
Okay.
people that get paid extra to be in charge for that shift.
Sure.
So like a shift leader.
Right.
So we're fine now. We have a great team, people who, think on their feet and kind of will take over that role a little bit because they're here and they're just responsible employees.
People, yeah.
But I think eventually something that's a little more formal in place would be worthwhile for us.
Well, that's good for us to be thinking about that.
Against hopes and dreams.
Time out. I think
Thank you
it's
for asking.
not a bad idea to have it in the minutes, because when we try to raise funds, say, look, this has been recognized for 3 or 4 years. Did I
Yeah,
listen?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you asking me that. That was a great question.
And therefore, we can just be thinking about what are the ways to do this, and what are some other benefits that we might be able to do as a library if we had that functionality? Not functionality, if we had that person.
Great. That's great. Thank you, Steve. All right. If there's nothing else, then I guess we will adjourn at as soon as I hear a motion to do so.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Good night.
All right.
Good luck, thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Oh, goodness.
So